And now for an amazing story. Inspired by the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verses 4 to 6 and 15 to 16.
Lee glanced around the crowded room as their student pastor, Judd, launched into a story from the front. Usually he paid attention, but this week he couldn't stay focused. School was supposed to start tomorrow, but a huge storm was on the way. Lee snuck a look at the weather report on his phone as Pastor Judd continued. There is one body and one spirit. There is one God and Father of all. Lee could see a massive green swirl on the radar, far out to sea. Whoa, that's gonna be bad. So we will grow up in every way to become the body of Christ. Christ is the head of the body. He makes the whole body grow and build itself up in love. Under the control of Christ, each part of the body does its work. It supports the other parts. Helps if all the parts are paying attention. Lee, can you work with me here? Lee quickly slid his phone back into his pocket. Sorry. After their group time, Lee, his friend Will, and several others ordered pizza with Pastor Judd at a cool spot on the town square. They grabbed tables outside. This storm is gonna drop so much rain on us. I bet the power goes total drag. Stuck inside with no lights, nothing to do. Judd studied the kids as he took a big slice of pepperoni. The church has a backup generator. Hey, we could bring our games and stuff before the storm hits and hang out. Party while the power's out everywhere else. Lee was about to snap up the last slice of meat lovers when he looked behind them and noticed a guy tugging a pizza box out of the trash. The man checked inside and then quickly tucked the box under his arm. That is just disgusting. Too cheap to order one himself. Pastor Judd studied the boys. He might just be hungry at the end of his rope. You mean he's homeless? That only happens down in the city. No one's homeless up here. Actually, they are, more than you'd think. There's even a shelter. Oh. What will people without houses do during the storm? The shelter can take some people, but it's pretty small. What about the church? We've got the gym and a generator and everything. I like the way you're thinking, Lee. But it's not just about a roof. If we're gonna invite people in, they need food too, and cots and sleeping bags and probably a lot of other things. Lee tried to imagine what it would be like to not have a home with a bed, not to be able to open up the pantry and grab a snack. He looked around for the man with the pizza box, but he couldn't see him anymore. I bet we can find all that stuff. Pastor Judd promised to talk to their head pastor and find a way to keep the church open if the group could track down the supplies they would need. We've totally got this. Lee and Will left energized. Our church will be like hurricane headquarters. The most awesome place ever to wait out a storm. But the next morning at school, it didn't seem quite so simple. Lee and Will hurried to claim their old lunch table. Storm hits tomorrow night. How are we gonna pull this off on our own? Already windy out there, man. Where do we find cots? Camping store? A kid seated just behind them turned around. What do you need cots for? Lee remembered the boy, Wu Jin, from last year's biology class. We want to make a place at our church for people who don't have somewhere to stay during the storm. Wu Jin flashed a grin. My church just bought this camp to renovate, and there were all these old school cots. Your church? First Korean, over on Walnut. Oh yeah, with all the stained glass and stuff. We've got dozens of cots just sitting in a back room. We could totally bring them over. One of Wu Jin's friends tipped back in his chair to join the conversation. My uncle's got a box truck we could use to move stuff and an extra generator. That's perfect! Wu Jin and his friend picked up their lunch trays and slid in across from Lee and Will. We'll have to move fast. How do we let people know to come to us once the shelter's full? A girl at the next table who played on the volleyball team chimed in. Are you talking about Mercy House? I volunteer there on Saturdays. Lee and the group quickly filled her in, and the girl, Heidi, promised to spread the word. We still need stuff for people to eat. especially if the power stays out for a long time. Heidi chewed on a French fry. That church in the storefront on 3rd has a food pantry. I think Emma goes there. She called out to a girl 2 tables over. Hey, Emma, don't you go to Grace Community? Yeah? Why? Within minutes, Lee and Will's table was crowded with kids from half a dozen churches, all making plans to get a shelter set up right after school. Lee finished his brownie and grinned at Will. This is crazy. Everyone's just jumping in with stuff they've got or know how to do. It's like a body. Huh? Oh, right. Everyone's working together, like parts of a body work together. Wow, you actually were listening. Lee punched Will in the arm and turned back to the group. This was way better than trying to wing it alone. He was excited to see what they'd all be able to put together before the storm hit.